Two of the most fearsome punchers in the entire heavyweight division class this Saturday as the bronze bomber Deontay Wilder looks to get back to the top of the division when he takes on destructive Chinese power puncher Zhilei Big Bang Zhang over in Saudi Arabia this weekend. Both men come off respective losses against the same opponent last time out in Joseph Parker. But especially in Deontay Wilder's case, you would really say this really is must-win territory for him on Saturday night. Wilder has 3 losses now across his last 4 fights. Granted, 2 of those losses did come against Tyson Fury, but having just 1 win on his record going all the way back to November 2019, that's almost 5 years ago now. And he's got that massive inactivity factor for him as well. Wilder having over 18 months off between the 2 Fury rematches, another year plus layoff to the Robert Helenius fight, another year plus to last December's bout against Joseph Parker as well. And, that inactivity really, really showed in his last fight. Wilder seemed to have lost any sense of timing that he once had. He just wouldn't release when he needed to. Although, to be fair to Wilder, Joseph Parker, can be a tricky opponent in the ring. Especially since teaming up with Andy Lee. He fights low. He's got that kind of awkward jump-in style, comes in low, gets inside as well. And, he had a terrific game plan against Wilder, never got too greedy in that fight. But irrespective of all that, the days of Deontay Wilder just assuming he can kind of take year-plus layoffs outside the ring and, just come back and have that power and timing good to go, those days are at an end for him. Wilder faces another absolute wrecking machine this weekend in Zhilei Zhang also. And, Zhang was on a phenomenal run himself prior to that Joseph Parker loss earlier this year. A loss that, a sizable amount of people felt Zhang actually won. He may have edged that fight given the 2 knockdowns he had, but it was close nonetheless. Zhang, like Wilder, sometimes a little guilty of sitting back too much in fights, letting his power almost bail him out to a degree. He got outworked by Jerry Forrest a few years ago in their fight. He got outworked by Filip Hrgovic. In the second half of a fight, he was winning. He was winning early. And again, got outworked again by Joseph Parker earlier this year. So Zhang definitely has some issues in regards to his stamina level as well. He actually owns the lowest output out of any fighter in the sport in terms of total punches thrown per round. Wilder not much better, ranking last in the number of power punches thrown. Although Wilder doesn't have to throw many as long as a couple land. So both fighters definitely guilty of not doing quite enough in fights, content just to let their power almost bail them out, as we said. And at least up to this point, it has tended to do that. Before I get into a best bet for this fight, I just want to mention, Wager Talk's got that summer celebration up right now as well. But I also have my first 5% boxing play the entire year up ready to go over at Wager Talk as well. It's on this same card as well. So make sure and lock that in before fight time as we enjoyed a perfect 2023 and 5% boxing releases last year. And I absolutely love this plus money play on this card that we have up for this weekend as well. In terms of a best bet for this fight, this is a dangerous fight. For all Deontay Wilder's faults in the ring, his lack of technique, which is been widely publicized across his career so far. His inactivity over the last number of years, which we mentioned as well. At the end of the day, he does have that equalizer. He lands one straight, clean right hand on your jaw, and you may as well start picking out your hospital bed because bar Fury, Tyson Fury, who we seen, against Usyk 2 weeks ago, he has a phenomenal recovery rate for a heavyweight, even admitting himself that he was out cold against Wilder in that first fight. No one else has been able to withstand Deontay Wilder's right hand. And I don't believe Zhilei Zhang would be an exception to that rule either. Zhang has tended to get reckless in fights the longer they go on. So, if Wilder, pretty much like he did against Luis Ortiz in both of their fights, plays it kind of cautious early here, looks to take Zhang into the later rounds, take him deep, the more athletic Wilder, could well take advantage in this one as Zhang starts to get tired. Zhang's got a habit in the second half of fight he starts breathing through his mouth. We've seen him do that many times before. He gets kind of sluggish, and you don't want to be doing that with Wilder across the ring from you. Wilder could well capitalize in that scenario with a potential KO late. That said, Zhang is the far superior boxer of the two here, and that straight left hand of Zhang's is almost on par with Deontay Wilder's right hand as well in terms of just raw, destructive power. But unlike Wilder, Zhang's got immense power with both hands. So we saw in the Joe Joyce fights and pretty much across Zhang's career as a whole that he is an incredibly fast starter in fights. He takes risks early. You know, he was landing some huge left hands in that first fight, you know, across the first couple of rounds against Joe Joyce. He wasted no time in that first fight. And Joe Joyce is a much, much better chin than Deontay Wilder. You know, he was known as the juggernaut for a reason up to that point. Could take flush shots of pretty much anybody. So how does that dynamic play out here as well? You know, the one thing you would say about Wilder ever is that while he mightn't be quite as durable as Joe Joyce is, he is far more athletic around the ring, able to keep distance, able to go on the back foot, and that could well keep him out of trouble early in this one. I also believe Zhang will be slightly more cautious here as well on Saturday than he was against Joyce. You know, we've all seen the Lewis Ortiz fights at this stage where Wilder's getting absolutely dominated on the cards. Ortiz, another heavy-handed fighter as well, only for Wilder to land that straight right hand, close the show. So Joyce, you know, while he is powerful himself, he didn't present that same immediate danger that Wilder does in this one for Zhang. You know, Joyce, much more of a plodding, concussive type of power, rather than Wilder's, you know, you're fine, split second, lightning bolt, you're out cold. So I believe that's going to slightly dictate Zhang starting this one as well. I don't believe he'll come out quite as aggressively as he usually does in this one. But look, overall, at the end of the day, I have to look at taking Zhang in this one. As I said before, he is the better boxer of the two. And Wilder's inactivity may have finally caught up with him as well. You know, Wilder's a fighter that relies solely on timing in fights. He's the lowest volume puncher, as we mentioned, power puncher, I'd say, in the entire sport as well. So whenever he does fire, it's got to be 100% accurate. And that looked far from the case against Joseph Parker back in December. You know, he was just miles off the pace. So I don't see this one going the distance on Saturday. I've seen a couple of people say that it might because of the volume from both men, but look, both men have one-punch knockout power at the end of the day, and neither of them are Floyd Mayweather defensively either. So I do think we're going to see this one get hot early here, you know, especially from Zhilei Zhang as he starts to read Deontay Wilder's patterns a bit more, you know, utilizes that greater skill set of his. And, you know, as Tyson Fury showed as well, when you're at that top table of the sport, as I believe Zhang is from a technical standpoint, take that straight right hand away from Wilder, even though, to be fair to him, he has done a much better job of shortening that punch over his last couple of fights, you know, third Fury fight in particular, and against Robert Olenius as well. But even so, take that right hand away from Wilder, and he's just not the same fighter. So I'm going to take a shot here with Zhilei Zhang to win this one in rounds 4 to 6 on Saturday, plus 450 right now at some books. You know, big price there. Because, look, as I said, I don't expect this fight to go the distance. I believe Zhang has too many ways to win this fight as well. You know, he's the better boxer. He's a southpaw. He's got power in both hands as well. But at the end of the day, Wilder's only got to be right once. And that's what makes it such a fascinating fight on Saturday. So, Zhilei Zhang plus 450 to win inside rounds 4, 5, or 6 on Saturday. I think the odds are fair for that one. But that'll be a hesitant best bet from me for this fight. Don't forget to join us for the 5% play over on Wager Talk for this card. Like I said, first of the year. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below about this particular fight as well. Is the Bronze Bomber a faded force at this point, or is there one more Bomb Squad shout out still to come? Let me know down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. It's always appreciated. And as always, until next time, Slán Abhaile, and best of luck on all your bets.